Hello and welcome to my channel, Talisman Tarot. In this reading I want to ask the cards and spirit directly through channeling about how your person sees you, how the person on your mind views you, what his perception of you is like. And I have 4 groups here that you can choose from. This will be group number 1, this will be group number 2, this will be group number 3, and this will be group number 4. And so I will ask you to use your intuition and choose the group that speaks to you the most, the group that catches your eye, and that group will be your group. And if you need any more time to choose, you can just pause the video. But if you don't need any more time, then I'll just move on to the reading. Hello, group number 1. You chose this Botticelli tarot deck, and I will start with some channeling and then I will shuffle the cards for you. So, group number 1. The people who will choose group number 1. Spirit, can you give group number 1 an answer about how their person sees them? How he sees group number 1? How the person on group number 1's mind sees group number 1? There's something here about age difference, so I feel like you might be a bit older or younger than him, so he sees you as either a bit less mature or more mature than him. So I'm just sensing that he sees an imbalance because of the age difference. Like, you can't really talk about the same things. And maybe the age difference isn't even that big, but I think you two might have talked about something from your childhood, and you just you both realized that you couldn't really talk about the same stuff because your childhoods were sort of different because of the age difference or because of cultural differences. So there could also be something about you two growing up in completely different environments, different cultures, that it's not you two did not have the same experience growing up. And so I feel like there's like this person sees some disconnect because of, like, there's a disconnection here because of something that's like either age difference or cultural differences. I think on some levels, I think he doesn't really seem to see that you two have a lot in common, but I think you get along well, and I think that surprises him a bit, that you can actually get along, even though you are so different. So I think that has sort of amazed him, that you can actually talk to each other, and even for some of you, you might have talked for hours with this person, and somehow you could always find something to talk about. But when he thinks of you, when you two are not together, he kind of sees it as an issue that you two doesn't have a lot in common, like on a more fundamental level. I think you might have a lot in common on a day-to-day, daily, everyday life level, like when you talk about things that like when you talk about pop culture or something like that, then you might have somewhat something in common. Like you can talk about a TV show that you both saw last week or something, but it might be harder to find common grounds on more fundamental things like values, religion, maybe traditions, certain rituals, maybe, I don't know, but I'm just, and maybe it could be like everything from cultural, religious, or even racial differences, to something also, something like age difference as well. Like that if you're like 10 or 20 years older or younger than this person, then of course there's gonna be a difference in the way you look at certain things, like and a difference in values, and a difference in like a lot of points of view. But I'm gonna like okay, so I got something else here as well. Like there's something about puppy dog eyes, and so I think this person that you're asking about, I think he sees you as someone who, like, you might have like puppy dog eyes sometimes, like you might look at him in a way where he can't really say no to you. Like it might be very hard for this person to say no to you, and I think that might even scare him a little bit, that he feels like it's so easy for you to get him to do stuff, like and like you might have convinced him to do something with you that he would have never considered doing if it hadn't been you who convinced him. Like you might have you might have talked him into dancing or something, like even though he might have made a pact in the past that he would never dance again or something, or that something like, I feel like there's just something that you were able to persuade him into doing, and he thought he couldn't be persuaded by anyone to do that, and I think it's mostly because of your puppy dog eyes. Like he looks at you and looks at your big eyes, and he can't say no, like. But yeah, I think so with the Queen of Swords reversed, I think the person you're asking about, I think he is very very much in his head, like he's very like he's very rational, very logical, very stiff and cold in a way, like, but mostly not cold necessarily, but stiff, like very hard, like it's very hard to get him to loosen up. And he's also seems to be very fixed. He might be a fixed astrological sign, but I'm also just sensing that he's very stubborn in his ways and very like and very much like overthinking, overanalyzing, constantly calculating a situation instead of sensing it intuitively or feeling it. Like he doesn't believe in stuff unless it's been proven or something like that, and so he is like the opposite of a spiritual person, even though he could be religious, but just religious without being spiritual. And you can be that. You can honor religion by only focusing on the rituals of a religion and not taking the spiritual aspect into account. That you can do that, but but I'm sensing that you are the opposite, like, and I think or he sees you as the opposite of him, that you two are very different to the point where you are polar opposites. And I think he sees you as someone who's very warm, very emotional, very intuitive, someone who feels things instead of thinking about them. You feel what's right for you instead of analyzing it. You can just sense what's right for you. Maybe you're a bit psychic as well, and so maybe you've just sense what's right intuitively, and so you don't like. I think you overthink and overanalyze as well, but I think when you have to make a decision, you prefer to make it intuitively. Like you prefer to make the decision to do what feels right. And that's something that this person is very unfamiliar with. Like it's something they don't do. And so, or he doesn't do that. So, so I think he sees you as his polar opposite in a good way. He sees how it's like he sees how you complement him. I don't know if this is, I don't think, I am sensing that this is more platonic. I'm sorry to say that if this is someone, if you're asking about someone that you want to be romantic with, I'm sorry to say this, but I'm sensing that this person sees you or looks at you in a more platonic way, or in a more friendly way, even, or like, so but he sees you as someone he likes to be as he likes to be around you, because you are very you are complimenting him in your differences, like you are complimenting each other in your differences, even though you might not have a lot in common. You can learn something from each other because you have two completely different points of view, and so it's always interesting for this person to talk to you, because he always feels like something, like he's broadening his horizon in some way. But I'm also sensing that, like, you have something about you that's very like, you're good at making other people loosen up. Like, you have some kind of way about you where, like, you're very direct and very honest and very genuine, and very approachable, and authentic. And I think that those qualities rub off on the people that you interact with, and so that has also rubbed off on this person that you're asking about. And I think he feels like when he's around you, he can loosen up. He feels like it's not, like, you're good at making it not so serious. Like, he doesn't feel like every interaction with you is serious. Like, you don't take yourself too seriously, and he feels like he doesn't have to take himself too seriously either when he is with you, which I think he is very fond of. I think I am sensing that he kind of has a tendency to take himself too seriously sometimes, like, and I don't think it's because he wants to, or it's not on purpose. I think he would want to be more like you and not take himself too seriously, but for some reason it's very hard for him, and I think it might be because he has grown up in a family that might have been a bit strict on him, and maybe the family has taken itself too seriously in some way. Like, maybe I'm sensing that his family could have ties to some kind of sect or cult, or religious group or religious community, or something like Mormons, or Freemasonry. Yeah, I'm getting an emphasis on Freemasonry. So maybe his dad was a Freemason, and so I'm sensing that maybe there's some kind of, like, maybe he comes from a bit of an uppity family that takes itself too seriously. Everybody dressed up in suits, even though it's just a a regular Wednesday, like no one's actually no one has to do anything, like people like listening to opera on a Tuesday night, like it's I don't know, but I feel like his family might have been a bit upper class, wanted to be more. Actually, I think his family is or was middle class, but like some kind of low self-esteem middle class that really wanted to be upper class, but wasn't content with being middle class, and so they did everything to act as if they were upper class, even though they weren't. Like listening to opera, listening to classical music, making all their children and this person you're asking about included in that child group, I guess. Like and like making them all learn to play a classical instrument like the cello or just piano, I guess. But I think he might have just grown up to believe that he was supposed to be something big and something important, and so he kind of acts as if he is a bit more maybe than everybody else, or maybe he just doesn't want to. Like I don't, but he takes himself too seriously because his family has taken him seriously, and also maybe because he's afraid of not taking himself too seriously, because maybe every time he has loosened up and acted a bit less like he was taking himself too seriously, then his family might have like punished him for that, like said that he has had to have some dignity and pride and know who he was and where he came from or something, like. And so I think it's kind of not his fault that he's like this, but this is not about him, it's about you. But how with the 7 of Cups reversed, I think I think he sees you as I think he sees you as very young, but not just young. I think he sees you as a very young soul. Like you I don't think he believes in reincarnations, but if he does, I think he believes that you haven't reincarnated a lot of times, which might indicate that he has that he or someone in his family has been in the religion, a part of the one with Tom Cruise, like he is a part of it. The one where they believe that something with a volcano, you know, something with S. I think you know what I mean. But it might come to me like, but in that religion they believe in how reincarnations can change your personality, and how if you have had a lot of reincarnations with a lot of pain, then you can have that pain build up inside you, and then they try to get that pain from past reincarnations away by using sort of like shock, electroshock, not in the but shocking people with not necessarily into. I don't think it's electroshock to the brain, but like something where they give a small like shock to something. I don't know, but yeah, I think. But my point was that I think whatever he believes in, whether he believes in reincarnations or not, then I think he sees you as someone who's a very young soul, someone who hasn't had a lot of reincarnations, so you don't have a lot of pain built up inside you. You seem to be quite happy-go-lucky, someone who's not really apprehensive, and not like you don't. There might also be something about you not being afraid of death. Like you're not very angsty about death, or maybe that you're not very careful. Like maybe you don't look to both sides before you walk over the street or something. Like, or maybe this person that you're asking about, maybe he has seen you do something that was a bit reckless or something, and then he just concluded that you're not someone who is like who has a lot of anxiety. Like you might not have anxiety about heights. You might not have anxiety about something that many other people have anxieties about. And so there's also like in the Scientology, so in that religion, they also believe that anxiety is like build-up anxiety is because of reincarnations, like past reincarnations. In the past reincarnation, you might have died from falling from a tall building. So if you are very afraid of tall buildings, then it's likely because you died in one of your reincarnations that way, and so it's your body trying to prevent you, or your soul trying to tell your body to react a certain way so that it doesn't happen again, or something like that. It's a bit, yeah, but I think, I think that's kind of what they go through in Scientology. I've never been like a part of Scientology, so I don't really know what's going on in that religion, but I assume that's what's going on. So, but I think he might, like, this person might be into Scientology. You might, and some of you might say no, that's not true. But I think it might be some kind of guilty pleasure for him, because I think he might do it, like he might research it in the middle of the night when nobody's watching. And so I think it's more like something he wouldn't share with with other people. It's something he does for himself or something, in the sanctity of his own home or something. I don't know, but I think he might have like analyzed you from that perspective, and I think one of the other things is I think he sees you as someone, as I've said a few times now, but as a young soul, someone who hasn't reincarnated a lot of times, and I think he has made that conclusion based on how innovative you are. Like, you might have something about you where you think a bit like an alien, like you think very unique, in a very unique way, where you might have very original points of view and very original ideas, and that is very characteristic for a young soul that hasn't been reincarnated a lot of times, because when we have been reincarnated a lot of times, we have a lot of presumptions that are kind of like that go, like every time we have have a carnation and then a reincarnation, then like we take the presumption from the past reincarnation or carnation and then the reincarnation, and then we have like a build-up of presumptions that we believe is the whole truth, and so we don't question a lot of things that just is on our backbone, or like something that just seems like obviously true to us. But for a young soul, everything seems new and questionable, and so maybe you're also the type of person who likes to ask a lot of questions. Like, you like to question things. You like to question why people do things. Why we do this? Why we do that? Why do we have like so there's also like I'm gonna shuffle some of these archetype cards just to see if like more about how he sees you. How does he see you? I think like when it comes to appearance, I think there's something about your hair that he is very fond of, something that you do with your hair. You might do it very. There might be something that you do with your hair that you do very rarely, but I think he has seen you do it sometimes, and every time you do it, it's like he notices it and actually likes it better. So there's something about how you have your hair like on a daily basis that is fine. I think like he likes that too, but it like if you have your hair down all the time, then maybe when you put your hair up, like that's very special to him, or makes him feel like I think it's mostly because he likes to see your face. Like there's something he doesn't like it when you hide your face. Like he wants you to put, like maybe he does that also to you sometimes, like put your hair behind your ear, because he wants to be able to see your whole face. With a gossip card, I think, well, he might see you as a bit of a gossip, but it's this card here. It's upright, so it's the positive attributes of it. So And the light attributes says here, awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. So it's actually the complete, I guess it's complete opposite of what like what you would have thought it would be. But like, I think, yeah, like it's like people like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like I think he sees you as someone he can trust. Like if he has something that he wants to tell you, but he's like but he doesn't want anybody else to know about it. Like he would know that you are the one, like you're the perfect person to tell a secret to, because you don't tell it to everybody else. Like you're not gonna share it with anyone. You are gonna keep the promise to keep it between you two. Like he's very he knows that if you give him your word, you're gonna stick to it. You're not gonna break his trust. So he trusts you very much. And he also, I think he also, I think he sees you as a listener. Like you're a good listener. Like you're very charismatic. You're good at listening. You're good at making him feel like you care about what he says. Like you give him like your full attention when you talk to him. Like you make sure to make him know that you have his full attention. Nobody can interrupt you. Nobody can distract you. You're just tuned in to him and only him, and not everything else disappears around you. And I think he notices that, and notices how you cherish that, and how it and it makes him feel very important. Like you make him feel like every word that he says is important to you. Like, and maybe he also feels like you listen very closely. Like if he shares a detail with you, you will remember it the next time you talk to him. Like if he tells you that his dog is sick, you will ask about his dog the next time you talk to him. Like you make sure to remember all the small details, so that you can come back to him about those details in the future. Like you always like, and I feel like he's very, he sees you as someone he can confide in. He also sees you as someone who has interest in, like you seem to genuinely have an interest for him, like what he says. But also in general, I think he also has noticed that you're interested in other people as well. Like when you talk to others, like everybody you meet, you can always find something interesting about every person that you meet. Like you give people like you give people a good chance to open up, and like you don't have a lot of prejudice. And I think we all we went through that before as well. Like you don't have presumptions about people. Like, and you don't like if you meet someone and like all the red flags are like there are a lot of alarm clocks, like there are a lot of alarms ringing, like there is not that, like, or that's how other people might meet up with some of the people that you are friends with, and like the first impression they get of them is that they don't want to get to know them better, because like maybe you have one friend who has been in prison at some time in the past or something, and maybe the person that you're asking about feels like that's not the type of person that he would want to be acquainted with, because of his presumptions and prejudices towards people who have been in prison. But maybe you don't let details like that about a person get in the way of them showing that their true self to you, and so I think you give people the chance to also redeem themselves, and let them grow past their past mistakes, and allow, and I think you just allow people to like you want to figure out for yourself whether a person is good or bad, and you don't take like something like some detail about them that you get you don't use that to determine that. You want to determine it for yourself, and that's maybe also the intuition talking, that like you want to intuitively sense a person. You want to sense if that's a good person intuitively, not logically or rationally by looking at their track records, like look at details about like that, and yeah, I think he's I think that's all I have for you, group number 1. This is all I can. Yeah, I think that's all for you, group number 1. I hope this reading was helpful or entertaining in some way, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to book one. And yeah, have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 2. You chose this Yolanda tarot deck, and I will start with some channeling, and then I will shuffle the cards for you, group number 2. So, group number 2. The people who will choose group number 2, how does group number 2's person, the person on group number 2's mind, how does he see group number 2? I am getting a lot. Okay, so I'm getting a few things here. First of all, I think this, there is something here that, like, the very first thing is that I feel like there is a lot of love here, but also a lot of turmoil, and a lot of chaos, I think he the way he sees you is in a loving way, but he also is quite frustrated that that you're not being completely honest with him, or not being completely honest with yourself. Either way, but I feel like there's something about a lack of honesty, like that's something that he sees you as like he sees you like as some, like I'm sensing, I don't know what kind of connection this is, but I am sensing that it's a more romantic one, and for most of you this is someone you're either in a relationship with or someone you're dating, because I'm just, or someone who you're about to date or so, but I'm just sensing a lot of love, but also a lot of concern here, like I think he's concerned about you, something, either concerned about, like there's a, I don't know what this is about, like it's very complex. It's also very different for different people here, like the situation is of course not the same for all of you, but the common denominator is a lack of, like a lack of honesty. And I think it's more like that you're not being honest to yourself, not necessarily that you're not being honest to this person the person on your mind, like, because I'm also sensing a concern, that he's concerned about you, that something about you where he feels like you're not completely taking care of yourself, or I don't know if some of you are like self-sabotaging in some way, like but he, like this person really loves you, and he puts you on a pedestal, like he wishes on many from in many ways he would like to be more like you, like he feels like in many ways you are much better than him, like you're smarter than him, in some ways. You're better at remembering details about things. You're better at listening closely. You're better at concentrating, focusing. You're better at you're better at planning out things, keeping a schedule, organizing. Like there's just a lot of things that you are a lot better at, and I think he would want to be more like you. He would want to be more in control and be more like also he would like to be as smart as you. Like there's something about how he feels like there's also something weird here where it could, the self-sabotaging thing could also be about about the fact that you're so smart, but maybe you're not using your brilliance at the moment. Like maybe you're not doing, and maybe the thing that you're doing right now, like if you're working or studying or maybe between jobs right now, like whatever you're doing, like I feel like he thinks that, like he thinks it's a bit of a shame that you're not living up to your full potential, that you're not using your gifts and talents and like sharing it with the world. That you have a lot to offer the world, and maybe you are hindering yourself, or maybe he feels like it's a bit like you're self-sabotaging because you have a lot of options, but you're hindering yourself in actually going for it. Like maybe you have some options open, but you've closed those options because you feel like you're not good enough, or because it's not. Yeah, maybe because you feel like you're not skilled enough, that you're not educated enough, or that you're educated in another way, and so if you were to get a job in something completely different than what you are educated to do, then you might feel like that you can't do that. Like that wouldn't be but he sees you as someone who can do anything. Like whatever you would like put your mind, if you put your mind to it, like you could do it. Like anything. Like and like he sees you as someone who can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. Nothing is really out of your reach. And it's because he really puts you up on a pedestal, and like he really believes that you have a lot to offer to the world, and that you're very special, and that he would want you to know how special you are. Like that it's a shame that you don't quite see how special you are, and how rare it is to be to be the way you are. Like and that it's also like you have all the pillars to or to gain success, or not pillars, but like you have everything that you can that you need at hand, like just within you. Like and I think like he sees you as someone who could gain a lot of success. Like you're very likely to succeed. Maybe even a bit, like I feel like he sees you as someone who could more easily succeed than he can. And for some of you, I think you might work in the same field, or maybe you study the same thing, I think he sees you as better at your job or at your studies than he is. Like you're more likely to succeed than he is at whatever you're doing. If you're doing something similar, then then I just feel like he just like, but he feels like you're not really motivated to do that, or to that you're not motivated enough to heighten your ambitions and go for and shoot for the stars, and I think he feels like maybe you could do something in terms of social media, like something to do with social media. I feel like he has considered, like the person you're asking about might have considered to go into some kind of social media gig, business or whatever, and he feels like you should actually be the one doing that, because you're the one with, like, you're the more charming one. You're the more, like, you have the skills and talents, but also the personality for it, and you're not nervous around other people, and you're not nervous when it comes to talking to people. Like it comes more naturally to you. And with the Lovers reversed, I think he might see you as someone who, I think he sees you as someone who is like the Lovers. When it's upright, it's not necessarily just about about lovers, like about romance or something to do with love at all. Like it could just be a fork in the road. Like it's a card that comes up when we have a big decision that we need to make, and when it's reversed, I'm sensing that he might see you as someone who needs to make a decision about something. Like you need to make a decision, a life-changing decision, I guess. But you keep postponing it. You keep pushing it forward and hoping that it will just decide itself on its own, like without you having to make a conscious decision about it. And I think it might have something to do with your career or your studies. Like you have a decision that maybe to either choose something conventional, something more like, yeah, more traditional, or just something that's more like where the path is more cleared for you, and it's the obvious choice, or in a way, or but also the safe choice, the secure choice. But there's also another choice that you could make, and that's maybe something to do with something creative, something where you would shine, where your personality would shine, where you could use all your talents and share it with the world in a more creative way, where you could create something of a legacy, something, and I think he sees you like he thinks about this when when he thinks of you, he thinks that you need to, like, you need to make a decision. You need to stop being indecisive about this and just make a decision and stick to it. But I think he hopes that you're gonna find a passion or go for the passion project, and I feel like it's kind of that way that he sees. Like, I think he sees you more doing something creative, but I think he would understand if you chose the secure way as well. Like but like either way, he would. I feel like he would support you either way, but he just right now he sees you as very indecisive and very back and forth, and maybe you have also talked to him about like this decision and talked about the pros and the cons with both paths, and I think maybe he's a bit tired of listening to it, like not because it's tiring, like it's not. I think he doesn't mind listening to it, but he feels like it's not really going anywhere, because like when you talk about it, like sometimes you talk about it and you seem to have reached some kind of agreement on, like, okay, yeah, so it's best to do this, like, because that's a great choice now that we have weighed the pros and cons, and so okay, so then go this path, and then the next time you two talk about it, then you are more heading to the opposite direction, to the other path, and start talking about that again, and it might go back and forth, and I think, like, but he sees you as someone who, like, he sees you as someone. If you're in a relationship with this person that you're asking about, I think he sees you as someone he's quite secure about. Like in the relationship, I think he is, like, he feels like it's like you two are gonna build something up together, and he is very certain that you two are gonna do that together. That it's only the beginning of a great relationship. Also with the Lovers reverse, because when the Lovers is upright, I said the fork in the road before, but it's a card where a person has to make a decision between like two suitors, and then there's there's Cupid choosing one, and it's not clear in this illustration of the card, but in the old ones there's like two women and one man, and then Cupid is like choosing one over the other for that person, so that it's easier for the person to decide. But this card is reversed in this reading, and what that means is I feel like he sees you as someone who is not letting like something from the outside decide on who you should be, like, who he wants to be with. Like, he's not letting it be up to the universe, or he has made a conscious decision, and he is like, but he also feels like you have. So this is a bit okay. I ended up confusing myself a bit there, but I think that was possibly a message. Like, I think both of you are very secure about about the, like, if this is a relationship. I know that for most of you it might not be, so take what resonates, but for some of you, I think it's you are asking about someone you're in a relationship with, and I think you are both very, very secure about the other person, and like, you know that the other person is not gonna leave. And that's also for those of you where this is not a relationship. I still feel like the person you're asking about, he's very secure, he's very certain that that you're not gonna leave him, that and so there's also something about, like, because this lady here, like, she has an egg in her stomach, and so with this card reversed, I am sensing that maybe he sees you as someone someone he wouldn't want children with. Or maybe if you have children with this person already, then I think he might not want more children with you. Like, he might feel like, okay, not enough is enough. Like, or maybe there's something here about or about some of you being barren, and so maybe he. But there's just something about you not being fertile. So maybe some of you are not fertile, or maybe it has something to do with the self-sabotaging thing I was talking about before. Like, maybe some of you do something, like maybe you have an addiction to some substance abuse, or some deeper issues with maybe an eating disorder, or something that might make this person that you're asking about question your fertility, or something like that. But I'm gonna shuffle some of these archetype cards to see how this person on your mind, how he sees you, how he views you, what's his perception of group number 2. Okay, so with guide here, I think he might see you as a guide, or someone who's good at guiding him. Like, maybe sometimes the person you're asking about might have some issues with something that and you might be good at guiding him through it. He might also, like, maybe you're asking about someone who has panic attacks sometimes, and maybe you have guided him through some of his panic attacks. And so maybe he also has like a bit of so maybe he also has some issues that he's dealing with, like some mental issues, maybe some anxiety, maybe some but I'm also sensing that, like, like he sees you as someone who, like, because you're so smart, like you can guide him through a lot of things. You know a lot of stuff, and you can help him with a lot of things in his life, and maybe also in his work, like at work when or with his studies or something, where even if you're not working in the same field, you still have the know-how to actually guide him through some of the things that he has issues with. So yeah, with the detective here, I think it says great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. And so I think he sees you as someone who's very observant, like you observe things, and you have a great intuition, but you're like you notice things, like you and you might notice more than he does. Like you see things, like you listen to things, like if people say something, you hear what they say, but you also remember what they say, like afterwards, like where I feel like this person you're asking about might be a bit unfocused sometimes, and might be like zoned out, like, and in his head, and like so he's not really very observant of his surroundings, because he's always like a bit captured within his head, and I think you kind of serve as his eyes sometimes, where like you might do things together with this person, like you might go to a party or to go to an event or go to something with this person, and you talk to people with them, and they are at your side, like they are with you in the conversation that you have with others, but somehow you always have to like recap what happened to him afterwards, like tell him like, oh yeah, but yeah, he said that and he did that, and then he went there, and then he, yeah, and like you need to kind of, yeah, give him a small synopsis of what happened. So, but there's also, like, in this picture here, there's a lady with a book that's covering half her face. And so I think for some of you, I think this person that you're asking about, he sees you as a bookworm. He sees you as someone who's really good at reading books, like, and you are very, I think it's a part of how he's like, why he sees you as so smart is because you can actually sit down and read a book. And I think he might have a hard time doing that, like, because he might have some ADD, ADHD, something where he might have a hard time sitting down, concentrating about reading a book. And I think he sees you as someone who can just, like, you can just do that very easily. Like, and you might have read a lot of books throughout your life, and I think he really admires that about you, that you can do that, like, and he wishes that he was able to do that, but he's not able to do that. but I'm also there might also be something about some of you might post book covers on your Instagram account or social media account. Like you might show like a picture of the book that you're reading right now or something, and you might be reviewing books or something, where you write a small review about a book that you read or something on social media or on a blog or on something else like that. And I think he is like, he sees you doing that, and he sees like I feel like he recognizes that you have a lot of really good observations. Like you are good at analyzing a book. Like you're good at like analyzing what's like the symbols and like what's written between the lines and stuff like that. And you're very like maybe also very very quick to put things together and figure things out. Like maybe also mysteries. Like if you read a mystery book or watch a mystery show in the television, like you might be very quick to solve the mystery. Like so yeah. But I think that's all I have for you, group number 2. I hope this reading was helpful or entertaining in some way, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel, and yeah, if you want a personal reading from me, you can check the description box below for more information on how to book one. And yeah, have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose these Gypsy Oracle cards, and I will start with some channeling, and then I will shuffle the cards for you. Group number 3. So, Spirit, please give me an answer for group number 3 about how the person on their mind sees them. How does the person on group number 3's mind see group number 3? For some of you, I think you might have a bit of a strange name. Like it might be very hard to pronounce, or it might be very like it might be spelled a bit differently, or it might be a bit hard to figure out how to spell your name, because it might be a usual name but spelled in a weird way, or it might just be a foreign name that is hard to pronounce. But I am sensing that this person sees you as a bit foreign. Like you might but it doesn't have to be like that. Like this person doesn't have to be from another country than you. Like it could also just be that you are like that you're a bit strange, not strange, but a bit like a bit different in the way that you might have a different way to the way you speak might be a bit different, than what he's used to. So you could have an accent, but you could also just speak with a dialect that he's just not very familiar with. Like you could, like some of you could have like a New Yorker dialect, and maybe he's from California or something. So it's two different dialects or something like that. But that's more like that's just an example, by the way. So, but there's something here where I feel like he. So I am sensing that this it says size, but it's reversed. So I'm sensing that this person you're asking about, I feel like he doesn't really know you that well. He has met you a few times maybe, but every time I feel like it was a bit on surface level, and so it never really got like it wasn't, it was like skin deep, I guess. Like it wasn't, it was a bit superficial. And I think he sees you as someone who like with a side. Okay, so upright, I would interpret this card as someone who's not very verbal, about her discontent, not that she's not content. If she's not content, she's not really letting people know about it. Like she's keeping it for herself and sighing, and being a bit passive aggressive in that way, where she tries to show people her discomfort, but ends up doing it in a passive aggressive way. And when it's reversed, I think he sees you as someone who's not very passive aggressive, someone who's more direct, like you're good at expressing your feelings and emotions, like, but and you're good at telling people if you're uncomfortable with something, like if something is making you feel awkward, or like, I think you're good at, like, I think he sees you as someone who's good at setting boundaries. You're good at saying, like, if you're not very happy about the arrangement, you make sure to say it. Like you might also like maybe you went out with this person, or went to a party with this person, and maybe you felt awkward, or maybe you didn't like it, so you cut it short. Like you made up some kind of excuse, or maybe you just said that you wanted to go home. Like it was that maybe it was a bit too much, or maybe maybe you came up with some kind of excuse, and then you left early. And I think I think he sees you as someone who's good at like setting boundaries. Like you don't, and that you go home instead of moping around. Like and I actually think he sees that as a better alternative. Like he would rather have someone just say the truth instead of being passive aggressive. And like it's better that, like, if you don't like being at a party, then it's better that you leave instead of sitting around being uncomfortable and awkward and being a buzzkill to the others in a way. Like you know, like where it's better to just know your boundaries and be able to say, like, this is not it's not gonna benefit anyone if I stay for longer than I actually want to. And I think he actually admires that, because I think this person doesn't really know his own boundaries, or he doesn't really emphasize his own boundaries. He doesn't really make it known to others if he's uncomfortable, or if he feels awkward, or if he feels like you might be if you are at a party and you don't really know anyone at the party, then you say, like, to people around you, if there are people around you who are talking to you, but they are just acquaintances and not really anyone you would consider your friend or something, like, then you are gonna, like, then you would be the type of person who would be so upfront with them that you would just say, like, it's a bit awkward being here and not really knowing anyone at the party, and so I would rather just want to leave so that it's not gonna be awkward, like, and I think he really likes that about you. I think, and he likes that you're very honest, and that you're keeping it real. Like you're, and you're not putting up a facade. I also feel like he, you're not trying to be something you're not. Like, you're not trying to impress anyone. You're not trying to you're not trying to act as if you're better than anyone, or better than you actually are, and you're not trying to you're not the type who would lie about something about yourself. Like you would rather downplay yourself than upplay yourself. I guess. Like you would rather, like, tell people that you really suck at playing tennis instead of telling people that you're, like, really good at it, because then, like, if you told people that you're really good at playing tennis, then they would hold you up on that and, like, maybe ask you, like, do you want to go out play tennis with us? And then, like, you would be busted if you're not really that good at it. So I think you feel like it's better to say a bit less than to say a bit too much when it comes to talking about yourself and your skills and your talents. And I think he sees you as very humble, but also a bit someone who's I'm also sensing that he feels like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot sometimes, because it's like you're your own worst enemy, because sometimes I feel like he would want you to stay. Like, sometimes he feels like you're missing out on things. Like when you go home too early from a party, then I think he feels like you're missing out. on all the fun. Like, you could have had more fun, and so you are your worst enemy because you're cheating yourself from actually having a lot of good experiences. And I think, like, sometimes you might come up with, even though you keep it real most of the time, sometimes you might come up with some excuses, like you have a headache, and maybe you do have a headache sometimes, but I feel like, and maybe you do actually have a headache every time you use it as an excuse, but I think sometimes you can actually do things even though you have a headache, and sometimes you choose to go through with something even though you have a headache. But sometimes you just feel like it's not really worth it to work through the pain. Like, then you would rather just say, like, no, maybe another day. Like, and I think he feels like maybe sometimes you're making up excuses just because you don't want to be there. And maybe also with him, like, maybe you make up some excuses when you have to do something with him, and maybe he kind of takes that to heart sometimes, and maybe takes it the wrong way. That it's that you don't want to be with him, or that you don't want to spend time with him, so you say that you have a headache even though you don't, or even though you you do, but he doesn't really believe that you do, or sometimes you might question whether it's a real excuse or a made up excuse just because you didn't want to spend time with him, and it might be a bit like I don't know if. But yeah, but I'm gonna shuffle the cards some more and see how he sees you. So with the merchant card, I think he sees you as someone who's good at bargaining. Like, and sometimes you might bargain about things in your life. Like, sometimes, and you maybe. Okay, so maybe he sees you as someone who has, like, very solid boundaries, and you emphasize your boundaries to people. You make sure that people know your boundaries. But I think he sees you as someone who is, like, who can actually be bargained with. Like, if the right person comes along, I feel like he sees, like, and I think he sees himself as that type of person who, and like, I think he sees himself as the type of person who can actually convince you or persuade you into doing more things that's outside your comfort zone than other people would be able to do. Like, I think he sees you as very stubborn in general, and very stubborn towards other people, but I think he feels a bit special, because I think he feels like he can actually bargain with you, and like, maybe you were at a party and you said you wanted to leave, and he kind of convinced you to stay for a half an hour more, and maybe you did. And I think he felt like he was a bit like, or maybe it wasn't him who clapped himself on the shoulder and like felt like he actually did a good job there. I think it was someone else who talked to him afterwards and said, "Wow, it's so amazing that you could actually convince her to stay, because she never she never wants, like, she's the hardest person to bargain with, or the hardest person to convince to stay for any longer. Like when she's made up her mind, she's gonna leave, and so there's nothing you can do about it. And so I think that when that person told him that, then he realized that he had a special hold on you, like that he could actually that he could do more than people before him had. Like he could accomplish more than people before him when it came to you, like when dealing with you, handling you. But I'm also sensing that he sees you as someone who's got, like, that there's, even though you're a bit stubborn sometimes, and you set boundaries, and like and you're your own person, and you don't want anyone to control you, and you want to be self-sufficient and you're very you seem to be a very independent person. I think even though you're that, I think you're very good at adapting to your surroundings. And I think it might be because, like, if some of you are foreigners, I think you are used to adapting to to a foreign culture, a foreign country, a foreign language, a foreign people. Like you're so I think it's something that's very learned, like your learned behavior. I think you're good at adapting to a group or of people, like and learning their language, and learning to be one of them, and learning their lingo, and to the point where you just seem like one of them. And I think you might have like been able to use that talent to also get like into friend groups. Like I think you might have been able to sneak into some friend groups, especially maybe in the past, but maybe also now. Like I feel like there might have been like very closed off friend groups that other people felt like they couldn't penetrate that group because it was just so closed off, and no one could get in, and like they weren't seeking any new members of the group, and so it was just a very closed off group, and you were able to somehow penetrate that group and just like become a natural member of the group without the other group members even knowing, like even realizing that you had just become a part of it. It's just like you have a way of just adapting so that people don't even notice that you're the odd man out. Like like you just hang out with, like you can just naturally hang out with foreigners, or yeah, maybe also foreigners, but I mean strangers. Like you can just meet if you go out alone to a bar. You might just be the type of person who can just sit next to some people, and then suddenly you're a part of the group somehow. Like and people inside the group might not even question it. They just look at you and think you're that, like they don't even realize that you're the new kid, like the new kid on like you're it's just, it seems so you have a natural approach to people where people feel like they've known you for years, even though they have never met you before. Like, so when people like when people ask this person that on your mind, like about when other people ask him about you and like how you got into his friend group, like I feel like it could be his friend group, then he says like he doesn't even know, like you're just there and you've always been there, but he doesn't really remember how you even got there. Like it's so you just seem to be that to him you've just always been there, like it or he doesn't know where you came from, how you showed up, like somehow, like, and just how you got like how you became a member of the group is an enigma to him, like he doesn't know. So that's just what I wanted to say about that. But I want to shuffle some of these archetype cards to see how he sees you. So how does he see group number 3? How does he see group number 3? Samaritan. So this card here, it says refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. So I think he sees you as someone who well, maybe for some of you this person might see you as someone who doesn't like people, and maybe it's something that you have said sometimes, or I don't know, but maybe it's something he has heard from someone else, I don't know, but you might be the type of person who says that you kind of don't like other people that much, that you would prefer to be alone, and maybe you do like other people, but maybe he has just gotten the idea that you don't like other people because you've said that you prefer to be alone, and maybe that's just how he interprets that, like because like maybe some of you are introverts, and so you prefer to be alone, you prefer to not be around people, and maybe sometimes like when you have to be around people, it's maybe more of a chore, like something you have to do, and so maybe it doesn't give you a lot of pleasure, like it's maybe also very uncomfortable and awkward for you, and like maybe it's just like that in general, like it's hard work, like it's not something that you enjoy, like it's something that is tiring, and it makes you tired and exhausts you, and so that might be why you want to go home early from a party, because you might just prefer to have like an evening alone with a book instead of go out and party, and people, I feel like people don't really understand this, because even though you're an introvert, I think people see you as someone who's actually really good at socializing. I think he sees you that way. Like the person you're asking about, he sees you as someone who, like, he doesn't understand why you feel awkward around other people, why you feel uncomfortable, because he can't really tell. Like, he feels like it seems like you're having a good time, and it also seems like you're getting along very well with others, and you're very good at adapting to your environment. So you're good at adapting to the people that you are hanging out with, and so you're good at being at, like, you're very, I think people see you as very likable, like you're good at having a natural conversation with just about anyone. Like, I think you're good at talking to new people, strangers. Like, you're good at talking. You're even good at talking to people that who don't seem to have that much in common with you to begin with, but you always seem to find something that you have in common with people, and like you're a good conversationalist. So I feel like even though the person you're asking about, he might be more of an extrovert than you are, but I think he feels a bit more awkward around, or not that he feels awkward, but he might be more awkward. Like, there's a very big difference about feeling awkward and being awkward, and when you feel awkward like you do, it's usually because you're not awkward at all. Like, no one else notices that there's anything off about you, because there really isn't anything off about you when you're in social gatherings, like, or when you're socializing with people. Like, it's not something that other people can feel, but it's something that you feel. Like, you feel awkward, you feel like you don't belong, and you feel like you're the odd man out, like that you're not that you don't belong. And maybe it's because you're a foreigner, for some of you, that you're a foreigner, so maybe you always just felt that way, and have always felt that way in the past, and so it's just something that's very that's a part of very solid part of you, fundamental part of you. So it's a bit hard to really get past that. Like, but I think, like, the person you're asking about might be actually awkward, but to the point where he doesn't really notice it, or he does notice it, but he doesn't know how to not be awkward, and so he's kind of awkward to people, and then he realizes it later on when he can't really do anything about it. Like, and then he might be very hard on himself afterwards, but he's a bit awkward, but he doesn't feel awkward when he's being awkward. He just feels awkward about it afterwards, when he realizes that he had been awkward before. Like, so it's more awkwardness in retrospect, but not really like that. He can't tell when he's being awkward, and so I think he looks at you and he can't really see why you would have a problem being social with other, like, because you're clearly better at it than he is. And so what's the deal? What's the problem? Like, and so I think he feels like you might have some problems. Maybe you have also used it as an excuse that you have social anxiety. So you might have said to him that you don't like to socialize too much because you have social anxiety, and he might feel like it's too much of, like, that it's an excuse, or that you're being too soft on yourself, or that that you're not pushing yourself enough, or that maybe he also questions a bit that the diagnosis is true, because he feels like you're not, you don't seem socially anxious at all. And I think it's because you're so good at adapting. Like, you're so good at adapting to your environment, and you're so good at doing certain things that makes you blend into the wallpaper, so that so that people don't like, so that you don't become the odd man out, so that you don't stand out from the crowd, and so that there's no extra attention on you because you're different. Like, and maybe it's because you have always had a bit of an allergy to feeling different. Like, you don't want people to see you as different from the rest of people. And maybe the person you're asking about might be a bit the other way around, like the opposite of that. Like, he might have always wanted to be different than others and emphasize the things that make him stand out from the crowd, and that is maybe what sometimes makes him a bit awkward, and maybe he sometimes has a tendency to want, like, maybe he wants to be a special snowflake sometimes, like, and he might have a certain desire to be looked at to be looked at as quirky or something. Like, he takes up an opinion, like maybe a political opinion that's very unpopular, just to stand out from the crowd. Or maybe he dresses in a way where he stands out from the crowd, or maybe he has a hobby that nobody else has in the world, or maybe 2 other people have the same hobby as him, and he might do that, all of that, just to become rare, or be seen as rare or quirky or something. And so he might have built his whole identity up on wanting to stand out from the crowd, and you have created your whole identity on wanting to blend in to the furniture and become one with the group, and not stand out from the group, because that's how you get excluded. That's how you become the odd man out, and I think you just don't, like, it's very likely because you felt like the odd man out very early on in your life, and that the trauma, kind of trauma, maybe trauma is a bit of an over exaggeration, but the trauma of that experience from your childhood of feeling like the odd man out has made you want to never return to being the odd man out. So you just do I feel like or that might be how he sees you, like, but I think you two might be very different but I think he also, like, he sees you as someone who does a lot of things, even though you put up boundaries for people, you do a lot of things even though you don't want to. Like, you socialize even though you don't want to. You go to parties even though you would rather stay at home and read a book. Like, you do a lot of things that are unselfish. Like, you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others. Like, you would also, like, if someone asked you to go to a birthday party, you would go. Like, or if you were asked to throw a birthday party for someone, you would do that. Like if you get asked to do something, you do it. I think, but you don't do it out of free will. Like you feel an obligation, and so you do it. But you might not get a lot of pleasure out of it because you would rather stay at home and read a book. And so but yeah, I think that's all I have for you, group number 3. I hope this reading was somewhat helpful, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to book one. And have a great day, and bye. Hello, group number 4. You chose the Icelandic Tarot deck, and I will start with some channeling, and then I will shuffle the cards for you. So group number 4, the people who will choose group number 4. Spirit, can you give me the answer for group number 4 about how the person on group number 4's mind sees group number 4? I am sensing that the person on your mind sees you as very beautiful, very like, I feel like there's a focus on your appearance and maybe not that much of a focus on your personality. So either this is a very surface level connection, or you might be asking about someone that you don't know very well, and I think so either it's because he doesn't really know your personality yet, or it's just because he is more interested in your looks and maybe not that interested in what you have to say. So it's not really a good thing, but I think he's very captivated by the way you look. Like there's some like for some, like it's a bit sexual for some of you, where it's appropriate. Like if you're asking about someone who could be like someone you're romantically involved with, or someone you have a crush on, or someone like that, then I think he might have sex on his mind most of the time. He might not really think about a lot of other things, and like he might also just be the type of person who kind of has like some kind of weird OCD, where when he gets one thought in his mind, he can't really get rid of it until he plays it out in real life. Like he and until then, he might not be able to think of anything else about you. Like he might not be able to see anything else than that desire that he has. It's a like, yeah, so I think he sees you as someone he would want to have sex with, and until he has sex with you, he can't really think of like who you are as a person, or like other things, with the Page of Swords. I think what he has, like what few observations he has made about anything else than your appearance might have to do with the way that, like, if you're studying something, then I think like he has noticed that you're studying something. He might not really know what you're studying. Like he might not really have researched it. Like, and this is so weird about men. Like men have a tendency to not look up anything. Like it seems a bit odd to someone like me, who like I would. Like every time I meet a new person, I check their Facebook account and see where they have worked and what they have studied and everything. Like and everything. Like I just want to know things about people. Like even if I'm like I would, and especially if I want to have sex with them. Like then I'm gonna do my research first and figure out everything about them. But that's not how he is. Like he has likely looked through all your profile pictures on Facebook and all your pictures, like and like maybe even pictures that you have been tagged in. He might have also looked through that, but he might not even have noticed what you have studied. Like if you have studied something in the past, like he might have seen, like, okay, you went to the university, okay, but he couldn't even be bothered to look up what you actually studied. Like it might have even it might have even been written like right next to it, but like the dude didn't even couldn't even be bothered with that. Like or maybe he saw what it was but couldn't really make sense of it, or didn't really know what it was about, and so he didn't really want to Google it or anything because he didn't really care. Like So yeah, I think, but I think he's very fond of your body and your hair. I think maybe some of you have very long hair, and I think that's something that he really likes. But I'm also just sensing like that it's mostly about your body, like. Yeah, he just really thinks you have a great body, like is. And yeah, with the King of Swords, I don't think he's very bright. The person you're asking about, sorry to say that, but he seems to only think with his dick and not really like. I guess that could be like, I don't know why you would want to like know how he sees you, because he's very he's very surface level, very superficial. And like if you have like thought that, okay, yeah, it might just be a facade, it might just be something he's like, that maybe he's just playing dumb or something. Maybe you've thought about that, or maybe you've thought that maybe you've thought maybe you thought that he might have like a deeper, like some deep, like that he's an onion, like that you just have to get through the layers to like, and that he has a lot of layers or stuff like that. He doesn't have a lot of layers. He's very like, what you see is what you get. Like there isn't a lot of stuff going on there. Like it's when he looks blankly out in space, like and it's not because he has a lot of deep thoughts. It's because he's just like, there's nothing. Like when he zones out, it's not because he enters into another dimension or something. Like, no, he's just like he's sleeping with his eyes open. Like, it's not like I feel like you might be trying to see something deeper about this person, because maybe you have a slight, like, maybe you're attracted to him sexually, like maybe you're attracted to his appearance and maybe not his personality. So maybe it goes both ways, actually. So maybe he is kind of hot, and so you want him to be this person who this hot person who seems very dumb, but when you get to know him, he's actually a lot deeper than you first thought he was. But that's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. But I get why you want to like make him out to be more intelligent than he really is, like so that you can tell yourself that you're not only interested in him because of his looks, and so I guess, but yeah, I feel like he's not the smartest, like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He just doesn't seem very bright. And he seems to, like, for some of you, like I'm trying to like pick his brain right now, and I'm only like getting like these flash images of his car. Like I think he's very interested in you, and like he wants to have sex with you, but his like number one love is his car. Like he wouldn't be able to be in a like if he were to find someone and start a relationship with someone, then that someone would have to be prepared to be in a relationship with him and his car, like if a three-person relationship. Like it can't be done in any other way. Like it's like I feel like he's very just very like his mind is very occupied with very boring things. And like I think he has been like thinking about like painting his car in a different color. And I think that's some of the stuff that he thinks about when he zones out and looks like he's having a lot of deep thoughts, because he's like, oh yeah, like he's glazing out to in space, like, but it's just the color of his car, like that's what he's thinking about. Yeah. With the Eight of Cups, I think he might see you as someone who's a bit unattainable. Like he sees you as someone he has a lot of desire for you, but I think there might have happened something that made him believe that maybe you weren't really a realistic option for him. Like you walked away or something. Maybe you even rejected him and left him or something. And I think he sees you as okay. This is so typical. Okay, yeah. He has recognized that you left him in the past. I feel like for some of you this is an ex that you're asking about, but he senses that he feels rejected. He feels like you left him in the past, but he feels like it was your loss. Like you walked away from a gold mine. Like you could have had all this, like, and you just yeah. I don't know how he has attained so high thoughts of himself. Like he must have had a mother who loved him like dearly, like where nothing he could do was ever wrong. Everything he did was just gold. Like he couldn't. And I think he might just be a bit high on that, like on the great childhood where he was just like a bit like suffocated with love and attention, and like I don't know, but he does still think about you a lot. But mostly about your appearance, like your body, like that's what he. And I think he thinks about, like he might look through your Facebook to find pictures of you because he wants to use those pictures to pleasure himself, and like I think with Page of Cups here, I think he wants to come, like I think he thinks of you sometimes and thinks of like what would, like I think he's waiting on the right time to come back, because I feel like he still feels like this was a gold mine that was never mined, and that it was a waste, that this couldn't have become a relationship between you two, because he's great and you're very good looking and you could be a very handsome couple, and you could be one of those Instagram couples. Like that's what he thinks. That would never happen, because I feel like you're not very superficial, and like you're not that influencer type, but but he's just like he's kind of obsessed with the image of you two together, how great it would look to the outside world. He's not really preoccupied with how it would actually feel. Like the movie, like the old movie, the Muriel's Wedding. I think that was the name of the movie. But like, it's about a girl who's like so obsessed with getting married, and like that, like she's obsessing about that, and she's obsessing about that alone. And that's the only thing that preoccupies her mind, is to get married. But it's not like she only wants like the wedding, like not a marriage. Like, she doesn't care who she gets married with. Like, she ends up getting married with just a random person who just needs to get married just to be able to be in the Olympic Games. Like, so it's a fake marriage, but it's a fake wedding, but it's in but it doesn't matter for her, because in her mind she just wants a wedding. She wants to wear a wedding dress and have a wedding day and do all, and it's all about appearance, or appearing in a certain way to others. It's all about other people looking at her like in one way, and looking at her as someone who has succeeded because she has this wedding day, and that she's got married, and that's the only thing that her, like, that it's, to her it's the perfect image to the outside world, that she has actually accomplished something, or something, I don't know, but it's so surface level. It's so superficial. It's only about how it appears to others. It's not how it actually feels. Like, it's about how the marriage appears to others, but not how it actually feels to be inside the marriage, because feelings are not in the equation here. Like, it wasn't ever about that. It was only about obtaining this one thing that she has been obsessing about her whole life. And so yeah, but I think he is kind of the same. Like, not that he's obsessing about his wedding day. I don't think that's something he does, but he obsesses about, like, wanting to look a certain way to the outside world. He wants to be in a relationship so that other people can see him as a successful person who's accomplished, who has it all going for him, who has it all. And like, he kind of might be looking for a trophy wife, like someone he can just showcase to the world, and people will look at him in awe because he was able to get the most beautiful girl in the room. And so it's very much like he's very preoccupied with how other people see him, and not like, I don't think he has put a lot of thought into like what it would be to live with you in a relationship every day, talking to you, having to listen to you talk about your day, and your day at work, and your studies and stuff like that, because it's all just about Instagram photos and profile pictures, and it's but I'm gonna shuffle some of these archetype cards to see how the person on your mind sees you, or how he would describe you. Like, he wouldn't describe you. That was maybe a trick question, really, but like, I think he wouldn't really bother to describe you to someone. Like, if someone asked him, like, I think he would put a very few words on it, and like, he would just show them a picture of you. He wouldn't, like, if someone asked him, like, oh, who's that? He would just, who are you? Oh, you have a, like, if he would get in a relationship with you in the future, like, he would, if someone would ask him, like, oh, who's your new girlfriend? He would just show a picture, not say, oh yeah, she's a chemist, or oh yeah, she's a vet, or oh, she's a doctor, or oh, she's a lawyer. Like, nothing. Even though that's also a bit superficial in a way as well. Like, that's also using your job description as your identity, and so maybe that's not a good thing either. But like, he wouldn't say, oh yeah, she's very nice and kind and a good listener or something like that. He would just show a picture. And with a king here, it says enlightened, benevolent leadership, benefiting those in your charge. So I think this is a bit odd, but I think he sees you as a like, if he, like, well, but with a king, like, I think he might just see you as like the top of the hierarchy, like someone who's like very high up, but maybe also that you have like maybe you have a leadership position, like maybe you are a boss or something, or maybe you I'm gonna shuffle some more to see, like, if there's anything else coming through about how the person on your mind sees you, how he sees you. Okay, so with a rescuer, it says provides strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectations of reward. So I think, like, even though he's very, very focused on your appearance, he might, like, for some of you, he might have actually noticed certain things about your personality. So maybe he has noticed that you have some leadership skills, that you are quite good at keeping track on things, and like maybe you're also quite good at organizing, and like maybe you are the one taking charge, and like maybe like if this is an ex from the past, like you might have actually chosen to leave because he wasn't really taking an initiative at all. Like, he wasn't really doing anything for the relationship, like to make it work. Like, maybe you were the one who always had to, like, if this is an ex, then I think you always had to be the one contacting him. And if it's not an ex, it could still be have been like maybe you're asking about a friend from the past or something, but I don't know. But like I'm just sensing that maybe you drifted apart in the past, or maybe you left him completely because you felt like you were the only one making an effort to make this connection work. And maybe he noticed that about you, that you seem to be good at taking charge of the communication. Maybe he felt like you actually wanted it that way, and so maybe he didn't take initiative and contact you because he thought that maybe you liked it, or that maybe it was something you did, or something that you... Again, he's not the brightest, so I think he just figured that you really enjoyed being the only one contacting him, and maybe you wanted it that way. I guess, like, that you wanted it to be on your terms, and maybe he just didn't want to put, with a rescuer, I feel like he also like sees you as someone who is a rescuer, like someone who takes in rescues. Maybe you do that with animals or something. Maybe you rescue animals. Maybe he has heard you talk about that at some point, and maybe he actually listened when you told him that. But I'm also sensing that it's about that the fact that maybe you sometimes fall in love with people who are a bit beneath you, and maybe he feels like that's not him, even though he is one of those. But I think maybe you have been in other relationships than him that he believed was beneath you, and that you should be with him instead of these other lowlifes that you have been acquainted with, like that at least he's better than them. Like, I think he sees himself as like higher up in the hierarchy, even though he's really not. He's really not that smart, and like he's not really a catch, but somehow he sees himself as more of a catch than the other lowlifes that you have been romantically involved with in the past or in the present. And with a child wounded, I think he might see you as someone who has daddy issues, that maybe you are choosing to be with these lowlifes, as he says, like he sees them as lowlifes, even though he's one of those. He's in the same category, but he doesn't really realize that he's in the same category, which is a bit sad. But I guess it's like sometimes it's hard to really see ourselves clearly sometimes. But he thinks that maybe you have daddy issues, and you have something that you need to work through, and so maybe he also thinks that it's a bit of a phase that you are in right now, that you just need to be with these like you need to date some low lives, so that like one day you will realize, maybe that these are like karmic relationships, and maybe you just have to get it out of your system, like get your daddy issues out of the system by like being with some low lives. And so when you are done with that soul searching or whatever, then you could maybe see how he's actually a good fit for you. Like, that's his train of thought. And it's a bit silly, I feel like, but I think like he wants you back, and he's cocky enough to think that he is gonna get you back, like that he's gonna win you over, that he's gonna win you back. That one day you will realize that all men are pigs, and he's not more of a pig than the rest of them. Maybe if this is an ex, then maybe he was a pig to you. Like maybe he was really, really not. Maybe he didn't really treat you very nicely. Maybe he was only thinking about one thing, like, and only wanted to have sex with you and didn't really want to get to know you, and maybe he was just a bit of a dick to you, and maybe you broke up with him or rejected him because you didn't want to take part in that and you didn't want to be with him. And I think you gave him a reason, like you told him that it was because he was too superficial or that he was too focused on sex or something. And I think he's just waiting for you to realize that all men are like that, and all men are just thinking with their dick, and that there's nothing rare about him. Like he's not different from the others. Like he's just like all other men. Like, and he believes that he's very much like all other men, that the only difference between him and other men are that other men are better at hiding it. Like, and so I think he wants you to realize that, and like he's just waiting for you to realize that he wasn't actually that bad compared to other men. So I don't know, like, but yeah, I think that's all I have for you, group number 4. I hope this reading was helpful in some way, and if it was, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want a personal reading from me, check the description box below for more information on how to book one. And yeah, have a great day, and bye.